Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to XDefiant. The game's been out for a couple of months now. The GSK faction released with Season 1, and as such, we now have 6 factions in the game. What I thought it would be fun to do is rank the factions from worst to best, similar to what I did in Black Ops 4. During the Black Ops 4 beta, I ranked every single specialist in that game from worst to best. People seemed to really enjoy it, and here at XDefiant, I thought I would do the same thing, but then I ran into a bit of a conundrum. The thing about XDefiant is there's a very stark contrast between objective game modes and team deathmatch game modes. Modes like Hot Shot and TDM are much different compared to game modes like Domination or Occupy or even Escort or Zone Control in terms of what factions are better. So what I thought I would do today is basically just rank the factions for objective modes as well as TDM modes, and then from there count up the scores and see which factions overall are the best in the game. So without further ado, let's just jump into it with the objective game modes and the number 6 therefore worst faction, Echelon. I cannot believe it, but I'm happy to say that I think Echelon is the worst faction to play in objective game modes. Now, before, they were one of the best, but recently they got nerfed, and now their intel suit ability is not nearly as good as it was before. Not only does it have a 40-second cooldown, but it only pings every 4 seconds now as compared to 3, and you only see people through walls for 1 second as compared to 2.7 seconds. The nerf to the intel suit was pretty hefty, but I think it was very needed. Echelon kind of took over pretty much every single game mode and every map, and honestly, it was no fun to play against like 4 or 5 people on the other team, all spamming the intel suit. Of course, you have the digital ghillie suit, but in objective game modes, it really doesn't help you out all that much. It's a very selfish ability. You can run onto the B flag and then go invisible, and people may wonder where you're at, but overall, it's just not as powerful as the other abilities that are in the game that are part of the other factions. The ultimate is fine. It's very good, even in objective game modes, but the thing is, that's the only real thing that's going to help you get objectives and help you hold objectives when playing as the Echelon. Therefore, in my opinion, they're the worst faction in objective game modes. At number 5 here, we have the DedSec, who are so freaking annoying. Everybody hates them, and you see them all the time. You would think they'd be ranked higher considering how much you see them, but in reality, is DedSec really good? Like, if you're actually trying to win a very close, hotly contested objective game mode, would you want to be playing DedSec, throwing out your stupid little Spire bot every 40 seconds, or would you rather play another faction that's actually going to help you take and control the objective? The DedSec ult being able to basically EMP the entire enemy team is incredibly powerful, but aside from that, in terms of your day-to-day gameplay and trying to help your team win objective game modes, I mean, you have the Spider Bot, which is just annoying, but you throw it down, you don't really do anything, it doesn't really help you that much, it just kind of frustrates people on the other team. And then you have the Hijack ability, which has the potential to be good, but ultimately it's not. I mean, you can hijack trophy systems from the GSK, you can take phantom shields now and then, which is fine, but all that stuff just blows up to an EMP grenade as compared to you trying to hack it with your ability that goes on a relatively long cooldown. Overall, DedSec just is not very good for objective play, and that's why they come in here at number 5. At number 4, we have the Libertad, who are all around are just average in this game, I would say. They're not good, they're not bad, they're right down the middle, and there are times where they can really help your team. Not only being able to heal your team with either of your 2 faction abilities that you choose, but then the ultimate giving you 200 health as well as incredibly fast health regeneration. It can straight up win objectives for you with that ultimate. It can't be really destroyed or anything like that, except for maybe a DedSec ult, but still, the Libertad ult is incredibly powerful, being able to throw down heals on the objective for your entire team, being able to quickly use the BioVita boost to heal yourself and your teammates around you, being able to give yourself as well as your teammates faster passive health regeneration just by being near them. All those things are pretty good. They're not the best abilities in the game, but they're absolutely solid, which is why the Libertads come in here at number 4. At number 3, we have the Cleaners, and the Cleaners themselves are just basically really good at taking objectives and clearing out the enemy team. That is what they do. Some people hate them. I kind of like playing as them, but I can agree it is frustrating when you're trying to capture a domination flag, then somebody just drops down from the ceiling and just shits fire everywhere. That is what the Cleaners are good at. They are really good at clearing objectives. Their flamethrower ability, the ultimate, is honestly not really that good. You have to really pick and choose when to use it because it only has maybe a 10-yard range where it's actually effective. Aside from that, it won't even hit people, so you have to really pick and choose when you pull that out. And your fire bullets are just basically a non-factor most of the time. If you're using an automatic weapon, the fire bullets only do 8 extra damage over time, which really doesn't help you unless you barely lose a gunfight and the guy has 8 or less health and then they eventually just fall over. The fire bullets are not that good. When you play play as the cleaners, you're playing as them to use the firebomb or to use the incinerator drone and just basically light up the objective, pun intended, and they are very damn good at what they do. So yeah, the cleaners here coming in at number 3. Obviously, they have some cheese when it comes to the fire bullets on marks and rifles, but just overall, when you pick them, you're playing them for the firebomb or the incinerator drone, not so much the fire bullets. At number 2, we have the new faction, the GSK or the GS Commandos, I think they're called now because they had some sort of weird licensing issue or something or other, but either way, GSK is fantastic for objective game modes. The big thing, of course, would be the ADS, which is known as a trophy system in the game to block incoming projectiles. If you're in a competitive match, you know, people are going to be chucking EMPs, they're going to be chucking Semtexes, frag grenades, the entire kitchen sink, and more, and the ADS can just take all of that out if you put it in a relatively good spot. I will say it's buggy on a lot of the maps, a lot of surfaces that you think that you can throw the ADS on, you simply can't. It just goes over and over as you try to place it, which is incredibly frustrating, but when you do get it down, it can really help you hold objectives. Then of course you have the shock wire, which is not as good. It's pretty cheesy in certain game modes like Capture the Flag if you just completely deck out the entire area in shock wire, but it's okay. The shock wire is fine, but for me personally, when I'm playing as a GSK, it's for that trophy system, it's for the ADS, and then their passive ability, making it so you take less headshot damage, is incredible. It effectively gives you more health if the other team is actually hitting you in the head, which kind of makes them feel a bit like the Phantoms in some capacity. So overall, the GSK are great for objective play, but they're not the best in the game because number 1 belongs to the Phantoms. I mean, I don't think this is really any surprise. They're my favorite faction in the game. I absolutely adore the Phantoms. They did recently get nerfed. They reduced the health on the mag barrier, as well as they made it so the ultimate does not have as much health and it can be countered by EMP grenades doing damage to it. But still, the Phantoms are ridiculously good for objective play, man. You have an extra 20 health, which is already fantastic. Then on top of that, you have your mag barriers. Certain objectives in certain game modes, you have the riot shield you can pull out, which is okay. It's not amazing. It's nowhere near as good as the GSK ultimate with their riot shield, which is why most of the time when you play the Phantoms, you're using the mag barrier. You're using that to block incoming projectiles for your team. People aren't able to shoot you. You shoot them back. You take the objective. You have extra health. Your ultimate is incredible for taking objectives as it protects you and your team and gives you a one-shot kill death cannon shotgun. The Phantoms are great for objective play. They are fantastic, and that is why they come in here at number 1. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. There are my objective rankings for all the different factions within XDefiant. But now it's time for Team Deathmatch, which I'll go a little bit faster with this one here, but Team Deathmatch is a whole other beast. There's no objective or anything. The objective is get kills and don't die, and as such, the rankings are a lot different. So coming in here at number 6, GSK. They're pretty freaking terrible for Team Deathmatch. I mean, the passive making it so you don't take as much damage to the head is good, but your trophy system in TDM does not help nearly as much because everyone's just kind of running around aimlessly, and you can put down shock wire in like hotly contested areas, but it's Team Deathmatch. I mean, people are just going to blow it up or they're going to crouch down and just melee it to make it go away. It's more of an annoyance than anything. It really doesn't help you out that much. It doesn't help your team either. GSK, as good as they are for objective game modes, they just really don't do a whole lot in Team Deathmatch, unfortunately. Their ultimate is still very good, but compared to the other factions, they're just not great. At number 5, we have the Cleaners coming in here. The Cleaners, again, the fire bullets are really not that big of a deal in this game as much as people try to make them out to be. They're cheesy in certain game modes, but just in general, the Cleaners, their abilities are for objective play. I mean, you got the firebomb. You can run into a room and try to just shit fire and kill somebody, maybe get one kill with your ability, but the value that you get out of the Cleaner abilities in Team Deathmatch is nowhere near as good as what you get in objective game modes, and the other factions are just simply better. The Flamethrower, sure, it's a lethal ultimate, it's a great killing tool, but it's really not that good because it doesn't have that much range. Just in general, the Cleaners are not that great in Team Deathmatch, which is why they come in here at number 5. At number 4, we have the Libertad. Again, for the same reasons why they're good in objective game modes, they're relatively good in Team Deathmatch. If you notice, the Libertads were ranked 4th for objective as well as TDM because they're just solid. They're a completely average faction in the game. You know, healing yourself, healing your teammates, your ultimate's very good. They are just the perfect middle-of-the-road faction, and when you're playing TDM, having that faster health regeneration is pretty damn good, and being able to heal yourself in a pinch or heal your teammates is also nice. So Libertad coming here at number 4. At number 3, we have the Phantoms, which I struggled a bit when putting together this list because the Phantoms are so good for objective play, and in Team Deathmatch, they're not as good. Like their ultimate, for example, is pretty pointless. I don't even really use my ultimate when I'm playing as the Phantoms in TDM because when people see it, they just run away. It's not like they have to come near me because there's an objective or anything. They just run away from you. But when it comes to having 20 extra base health and then being able to throw down your mag barrier to help you and your team win certain gunfights, the Phantoms are are just solid. They're very solid in Team Deathmatch. Again, the ultimate is horrible. It's like the worst ultimate in the game for TDM, but their passive extra health as well as the mag barrier make the Phantoms a force to be reckoned with in Team Deathmatch. At number 2, we have the DeadSec. So one of the worst factions for objective play is actually one of the best factions for Team Deathmatch. I mean, the Spider Bot alone, the fact that it stuns people for 5 seconds, the fact that it does 40 damage, ridiculously frustrating. On top of that, you also have an incredibly good ultimate that can cancel out other ultimates that are being cast by people on the other team. It just makes the DeadSec pretty damn good. I mean, again, the hijack ability is relatively useless, but these Spider Bots, the fact that they stun people for 5 seconds, they alert your team to where enemy players are by following them, and the fact that they do 40 damage, I mean, the Spider Bots alone are the reason why the DeadSec are number 2 in Team Deathmatch game modes here with an XDefiant, and number 1 will be the Echelon. So the worst faction in objective game modes is the best faction in Team Deathmatch game modes, and that's because Echelon is a pretty selfish faction overall. It's more about you and what you're doing as compared to helping out your team. If you think about the digital ghillie suit, right, that's incredibly good in Team Deathmatch because it makes you harder to see. You can straight up sometimes go invisible. I'm seeing a lot more people running that ability as of late. The Intel suit is still pretty heftily nerfed, but it's also incredibly good in TDM modes because you see people through walls and your teammates also get pings. It helps you find the enemy team, especially if they're hiding and camping, which tends to happen in TDM game modes. And then, of course, their passive, making it so no matter what, they never appear on the minimap. That's also incredibly good in Team Deathmatch. And then their ultimate just reveals everybody on the enemy team and gives them an incredibly lethal pistol. Like, the Echelon are great at just running around being selfish and getting kills, which is why they're the best faction for Team Deathmatch, but the worst faction for objective game modes. And there you guys have it, ladies and gentlemen. Those are my rankings for the 2 different styles of play here with an XDefiant. And how I did this, you see the numbers next to the factions for objective modes as well as TDM modes. And so what I thought I would do is just add those numbers together, and then the lowest numbers are going to be the best factions. And believe it or not, there were a lot of really close ties here. Like the GSK, the Cleaners, and the Libertad were all tied. The DeadSec and the Echelon were tied. Then the Phantoms were the clear number 1. And so I had to order them in some capacity, and here's what I came up with for the overall rankings of the factions here in the game. Number 1 being the Phantoms. They're just so damn good in objective game modes, and are also really good in TDM. Number 2, it was hard to say, but Echelon being number 2 because they're so ridiculously good in TDM. They're selfish as hell in objective game modes, but they can help out their team at times, and that's why they came in here at number 2, with DeadSec being a very close number 3 because of the stupid Spider Bot and the fact that they can disrupt the entire enemy team, and also being able to regenerate your lethals like your grenades, your mines, your EMPs. That's also pretty damn good. So DeadSec came in at number 3. We have Libertad at number 4 because they were number 4 for both objective and TDM, so why not make them number 4 overall? And then number 5, we have GSK because they're really good at objective modes, but they're freaking bad in Team Deathmatch. And then we have the Cleaners, which it came down to having to pick for the worst faction in the game between the GSK and the Cleaners, and I truly believe that GSK can hard carry your team a bit more in objective game modes, and that's basically what it came down to. When it comes to like Team Deathmatch modes, sure, GSK is not very good whatsoever, but the Cleaners, like, both of their abilities are kind of just pointless in TDM unless you like randomly just bump into somebody, then press your panic button and get a firebomb kill, you know. The GSK, I think, can help out more overall in the game, so I put them at number 5, then I put the Cleaners in at number 6, which I know is going to be sacrilege because I know so many people like the Cleaners. I think they have the best faction announcer in the game. I love playing as them, but I had to put the numbers somewhere, and that is what I came up with. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys all enjoyed this video here today. If you did, consider dropping me a like, leave your thoughts and feelings as well as your rankings down there in the comments, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.